What's up everybody, this is Sam from the Other Million Bet. In this video doing the PFL 6 predictions and the picks and the bets, not for the entire card yet, I'm yet to go through of everything, but I wanted to upload the video early so you guys can see my thoughts at least on most of the fights, alright? So if you have never seen my channel, you have never seen this spreadsheet, there's a link in the descriptions so you can take a look at it, see how you can use this to your best interest. The only caveat here is that these are the way I'm doing things. In case you have any doubts, there is a disclaimer in the description, feel free to take a look at it. So let me just real quick cover everything. I also don't have this in the correct order of the lineup, so it's just the way I put it here when I was going through different fights, right? So not a great card to bet, at least from my eyes, you know. I got just a couple in as of now, actually only one as of now, but let's go through it. Between Anthony Pattis versus Manfio, I'm picking Pattis but not betting the fight. Caitlin Young versus Morais. Picking Young and betting Young, small bet on her, just throwing her on some parlays with future cards. Taylor Guardado versus Laura Sanchez. Picking Guardado, not betting the fight. Dennis Goatsof versus Brandon Sales. Picking Goatsof, not betting the fight. Fabian versus Julia Piechick. I'm picking Fabian. I put that I have a bet on Piechick at plus 300. She's not this range yet. I think we're gonna see people parlaying Fabian a lot, but I'm interested in to bet Team Piechick from plus 300. I think there's a decent value on this one. Sorry, and I'll break it down soon. We have Ferreira versus Stuart Austin. I'm picking Ferreira but not betting the fight. Morais Hypolito versus Lance Palmer. I'm picking Palmer but not betting the fight. And Deleha versus Chandler Cole. I'm picking Deleha but not betting the fight. Bruno Capeloza versus Mohamed Ruiz. I'm picking Capeloza but not betting the fight. Okay, so I want you to breakdowns, guys. So I'll try to run this one real quick. I don't think there is much potential. So this is the first one that I'm betting. It's a Caitlin Young versus Morais. The matchup here, guys, Young is a little bit taller than Morais, not a little bit, significantly taller, 5 inches. Morais is only 5'4", Young is 5'9", which gives her a good, decent reach advantage. She also is a little bit longer. The thing is that Morais, she's a good counter puncher, not because she's not stellar or anything, you know, super technical, but she times things well. And for the women's division, she's actually probably one of the best counters, so that's why I'm giving her 4 stars here. So she times it well, you know, she's also quite well-rounded, you know. She could use clinches and takedowns, but it's not her forte. She doesn't quite use it. She has some good bouts, but she has bouts that she doesn't quite show up. So to me, Young is more consistent. She has the reach, like I said. She's a little bit better on the offensive, not a little bit, much better in the offensive. She has good jabs, 1-2s. She's busy striking. Unless she starts getting caught and starts feeling the power of Morais, which I don't think is going to happen. I think this is going to be quite a decent win for Young. Morais could also try to grapple, but she's not the best grappler, neither BJJ nor wrestling. You know, she's Brazilian, but she doesn't have much BJJ in her skills. So I'm picking Young. I think she's nearly 60% favorite, so the bet on her makes a little bit of sense. To me, the value is on her, so that's why I'm taking Young. Definitely by decision, you know, because Morais is quite tough, and Young, she's okay on the power, but not much power. She's not going to risk too much also not to get taken down. So these are my calculations, guys. Feel free to pause here. Laura Sanchez versus Taylor Guardado. Sanchez is a very tall and long striker, but she's still very much a developing fighter. She has only 2 fights in the professional level, at least. You know, she's still quite weary of the things that she's doing. She's not that confident yet. Even the way she's the striker in this matchup, and Guardado is the grappler. Guardado's not a stellar grappler or anything, but she's probably way above the average, you know, at least in the PFL, so that's why she's getting 4 star. I expect Guardado shooting, trying to make it a grappling match. Sanchez trying to stop that, making a striking match. Could go either way in this regard, you know, but I think Guardado has more experience. She has more experience, and I think she's gonna do better. Unless Sanchez really brings the confidence here, which is not impossible because she's has only 2 fights, so she could bring something totally different in this one. And also she's under a good training camp in Rufus Sports. So she could bring a good takedown defense, make it a competitive match. On the feet, she would win. So that's why I'm not betting Guardado, but if you're gonna force me, probably I would bet Guardado even at minus 200 range that she is now. The value is there, but I don't feel confident on betting Guardado. She's pretty below average in the feet, she doesn't have much power. She's also quite short, at least comparing to Sanchez that's 6 feet tall. So many questions in here. I would bet the fight goes to the decision if I can get like not plus 100, like minus 150, I would take it, But yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough one to bet because probably the fight goal decision line gonna be very expensive. But these are my calculations, guys. On to the next fight, Fabian versus Julian Piechick. Like I said, probably the other bet that I'll take on Piechick, more like a riskier bet in this regard. So Fabian, good Muay Thai. She's a Muay Thai champion, but to be honest, she doesn't quite. She's not too aggressive. She's more like a composed striker when she times things well. Does a good job on the offensive, on the defensive. Doesn't get hit too much. Good Muay Thai clinch, knees up the middle. She's also very tall, 5'10", 5'11", and yeah, she has some power too. Piechick, on the other hand, she got dominated by Larissa Pacheco. So she got an overhand, got taken down, and finished pretty easily. But she's a tough girl, guys. I think at least she seems to me tough girl, even though probably she doesn't have the best chin. But she also fought way lower competition, so this is also becomes like a big question here. But from what I've seen, she has good straight punches. She has a very good switch liver kick to the liver. She times it well. She kicks not too hard, but she's fast with the legs, and she has good straight punches. If I'm gonna rate them offensively, Piechick is better than Fabian, especially because of the aggressiveness, the straight shots, a little bit more power too, and the switch kick to the liver is very good, like I said. But Fabian is the more well-rounded girl here. She can clinch better. We haven't seen, at least I haven't seen Piechick on the clinch. I'm assuming that she's quite poor there, given the Pacheco domination. She had nothing. But let's see if she improves here. She's a young girl, 23. And like I said, I think she's tough, even though probably not the best chin. So I'm going to take a bet on Piechick. I think people are going to keep betting Fabian because of going to be a parlay piece for many people for sure. So I hope that people bet Fabian hard, to be honest, because I want to bet Piechick. And let's see what happens. This is, like I said, a more riskier bet in this regard. I'm taking a shot in the dark. But let's see, Piechick is also very tall, very big girl. And like I said, I like a little bit her power. And these are my calculations. To me, it's nearly a pick and fight, that's why. But there's a big variance, and I'm taking a shot in the dark here. Denise Goatsof versus Brandon Sales. This is a good one, to be honest. I like this fight. Both of these guys are pretty good heavyweights, I actually felt bad and sorry about myself that I haven't seen Brandon Sales so well. I kind of overlooked him in the first in the PFL 3 card. This guy has good hands. He's a very big guy for the division. He's like 6'5", 120 kilos or 265 pounds. He has good hands. He's a big guy. Like I said, he's has a good chin. And overall, he's pretty good, He has decent wrestling, decent grappling, especially in the PFL. He's probably not one of the best grapplers, but he's a good grappler in the PFL. Goatsof, on the other hand, tall guy, 6'5". He's more lean, which is good. If he can use his striking, probably he will be able to use his striking. The problem that I have with Goatsof is the lack of output when he doesn't have the range. When he starts firing the jab, he's super dangerous with the jab and the 1-2s. He has to do it against Sales. But in case he second guesses himself, Sales gonna bring it. Sales gonna start trying to land on him. So this could be close in this regard. Sales could make it more like a grappling match using his size. But Goatsof is no slouch on the takedown defense, neither in the offensive wrestling. He's not like a super technical wrestler. He doesn't have the sambo wrestling background as you would expect from a Russian. He's more like a striker. So given the reach they use, he's 10 years younger. and the straighter shots, I'm going Goatsof here. And Sales also, despite being 40 years old, he doesn't have that many fights, but still he performs pretty well. He's like a veteran, even not having so many fights. But this could be close, guys. I think I'm between. I was thinking actually of taking a bet on Sales because the value probably is on him. I'm expecting actually people parlaying Goatsof quite a bit, so I could get Sales at the plus 300 range. I would like a bet on Sales at plus 300 range, but at the current lines, I'm not betting this one. As you guys see here, I have this one quite close. I'm between Goatsof by TKO and decision. Actually, there is a question there because Sales has a good chin by the look of it, but he's never been hit so much. So to me, it's between Goatsof by decision. I would take him by TKO, probably plus 400 range, you know, and Sales by decision. I think this would be an interesting bet at plus 400 range, alright? So these are my calculations. Sorry that I'm updating this now, because sometimes I copy those slides and forget one detail or another. So these are my calculations. Feel free to pause here, right? But this is a good fight one. Renan Ferreira versus Stuart Austin. Give me a second just to rate these guys here better. So between Renan Ferreira and Stuart Austin, it's an interesting matchup. Austin is a very experienced fighter, you know, he's a good all-rounded fighter. I like his grappling especially, you know, he does a good job with the wrestling, holding top position. He also has good takedown defense. He's a very tough guy, he's always in the fight. But he's a little bit undersized for the division. He has bouts in the light heavyweight, and he's not a big light heavyweight, not a small one, but not a big one. So he's undersized in the heavyweight against a big, tall, long guy like Ferreira, 5'6'9", 83 inches, 84, I don't know. This guy is a dangerous striker. He hits hard, you know. He has those. He knows how to use the reach quite well, you know. Even though I couldn't see much from him, I'm assuming that he does a good job there, you know. So there's also some questions here, to me at least, leading up to this matchup. The main question here is whether Ferreira can start landing on Austin and stop the takedowns. Austin will most certainly come with a grappling heavy approach. He's not gonna try to trade technique for technique against a huge guy like Ferreira with the power, and especially because he probably has the grappling as well here, even though Ferreira has submissions under his belt. I think he has a good grappling game, but I think from top, Austin should have the advantage. So the pick here is Ferreira. I'm gonna go by TKO, but I'm definitely not confident in this pick. If you're gonna force me to bet, I would probably bet Austin, you know, because I have seen more from him, you know, and he has more experience. But it's a tough one, again, to bet. I'm passing on this one, and these are my calculations, guys. Movility Hypolito versus Lance Palmer. Good one. High-level grappling match here. Both of these guys excellent wrestlers. Very good grapplers. Palmer, to me, has advantage on the grappling. But on the wrestling, man, it's quite tough to tell, you know, because it's MMA. And when the punches come together, people can lock the hand. So it's a little bit different than just pure wrestling, you know. But I think I would give the advantage either way to Palmer, because Palmer is thicker, stronger, you know, more explosive. But Hypolito by no means is a weak guy. He's a strong guy himself, you know. So it could come down to the one that mixes their hands better, you know, or pushes the other against the cage. I'm back and forth here, guys. Ended up going Palmer by decision. The reason is, again, I think he has more chances with the grappler because of technique on the pure grappling and more physical strengths. Sorry, but could go Hypolito's way, you know. Yeah, I think it's pretty much it. You know, the problem with both of these guys is that they both don't quite strike too much, you know. Hypolito in the beginning of his career, he was way more aggressive. After he got KO'd, he starts getting more weary. He's not really throwing much. Palmer was never a striker, you know, even though he has potential, in my opinion. You know, this guy is tough, you know, he hits hard, but he doesn't quite probably practice too much. Probably he's because he has been so successful in his career just with the wrestling and the grappling, so he probably never needed to catch up with the hands. So I'm rating them both pretty poorly here because they don't throw enough, but they have potential. Hypolito with more volume, with the flying knees, Palmer with more power. So again, pick your way, you know, to me it's a 50-50 here. And yeah, I'm going power member because of the experience, physical strengths, and these are my calculations, right? Anthony Pattis versus Roche Manfio. Another interesting one, between two counter strikers. Pattis does his best on the counter, you know, even though he does a quite good job with the front foot as well, especially with the kicks from the outside, being creative as everybody knows him for. Manfio, a guy that showed very sharp hands against Joilton Lutherbach. He was cracking with the overhand, you know, with the jab, pretty awesome timing. This guy has some power, you know, he came ready. But if I'm gonna have to pick here, gonna have to be Pattis because of the kicks, because of the experience. He's probably the better grappler here, but it's a tough one again because I would bet Pattis if the lines were a little bit closer. But bet Pattis at -200. You know, it's quite tricky because Manfio, he's also quite young, doesn't have many bouts, which is quite an advantage not to have experience. But he could bring something different. He's in a good camp in ATT. You know, so I'm careful with this one as well. If you're gonna force me to bet, probably would bet Pattis at -200. But I'm curious to see what kind of game plan Manfio gonna bring, you know, because Pattis is most certainly gonna control the range and use the kicks. I think Manfio gonna just start blocking those kicks and not get much offense because it seems to be his style, wait and counter. But he could bring something different here. I'm not ruling that totally out. But yeah, the better fighter here is definitely Pattis, and with the way more experience, right? Is in this point of their career. These are my calculations, guys. As you guys see, I have this quite close, so I'm not betting Pattis. But Pattis by decision may be an interesting bet because Manfio is quite a tough guy. Pattis not gonna risk too much, I think, unless he gets a good flashy knockout as he could. But I think this goes to the decision, so a decision prop bet might be interesting here. And the Pattis by decision especially, it's an interesting one in my opinion. At least at plus 200 range, something like this. Ante Deleha versus... wait a second. Yeah, Chandler Cole. So Deleha, more like a grappler in style. He has good hands, but nothing like special, especially defensively. He makes many mistakes, but he's a big guy for the division, 6'5", quite explosive, takes guys down and hammers them. Heavy ground and pound, he postures up and cracks. You know, Chandler is more like a wrestler, but a small heavyweight. You know, probably this guy's 5'10" or 5'9", I don't know. He also doesn't look like the most impressive physical guy, but he does a good job with the wrestling. I'll give him that. You know, he even sometimes fakes that he's gonna pull guard and then he hits some switches, some type of thing. So he has a good wrestling. He's the more technical here, but there's a size discrepancy. Deleha is not a bad wrestler himself. Even if Chandler, you know, uses better technique, I think Deleha at some point gonna reverse the position just based on sheer strengths. So I'm going Deleha here by TKO. He's a good favorite in my eyes as well, but I'm not taking this bet because I don't know, Deleha got KO'd and against a better technical wrestler that could be, there are some question marks here. If Deleha would be like -200, -150, I would definitely take Deleha, but -400 now, I think it's too much, at least from my eyes. I don't want to risk that much on Deleha, alright? And these are my calculations. So let's circle back here to Capeloza versus Muhammad Ruiz. I didn't put this well here, I think. Let me see if I did. No. So just real quick on this one, guys. Capeloza is like a powerful striker. He likes to get inside and hammer guys, as we saw against Ante Deleha. Yeah. He doesn't have much grappling, you know, even though defensively he's not bad. He's not that easy to control. Muhammad Ruiz, I don't know, from all the bouts that I've seen, I saw him striking, which was not that impressive. I've seen some people talking about his wrestling credentials. So if he does have good wrestling, might be an interesting bet against Capeloza, because Capeloza is primarily a striker. So if the Ruiz has good wrestling, he's probably going to try to wrestle. So it would be making bet interesting the Ruiz, but like I said, from all the footage that I've seen, I have not seen that. I'm not gonna assume that the Ruiz has good wrestling, because I've seen Capeloza defending takedowns and being tough to hold down. So Capeloza gonna probably be able to keep it standing here, and Capeloza a little bit younger, has more power. He's a little bit better on the technique as well. You know, the Ruiz, not bad counter striking, more like okay, but when he comes forward, he makes mistakes. He dips the head forward. I think we're gonna see Capeloza landing a little bit heavier. He's a good, it's a good matchup for him. That's why I have him as a quite strong favorite, minus 250. But again, I'm passing on this one. I don't trust Capeloza too much, to be honest. You know, especially. Actually, he has good cardio. So actually, this gives me some confidence on Capeloza, because he starts very fast. But still, guys, I don't. Let's see. I'm gonna sit and watch this one, see if Capeloza really gonna get the knockout or not. All right. These are my calculations. Feel free to pause here. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked this video. I will put more comments on the same video as I go through the fight. Especially, I'm interested in some X fights. I will let you guys know if I'm gonna take other bets. All right. So just to show you guys my Patreon, in case you guys like to support me, for $10 a month, you guys get the early releases. So to give an example, the UFC Fight Night 190, that's gonna also take place this weekend. Some bets that I took in the early market were Nicolas Dalby at plus 140. Then I got also Canadian Zechuk at plus 100. I got Jay Herbert plus 210. He's now at plus 200. Also, Ike Villanueva, I took him at plus 180. He's now like plus 160. So it makes difference to take these guys in an early market. And with my strategies, guys know that you can, use those bets combining, and at the end of the day, it's a winning strategy. So picking this early makes difference. For 15, we have the prop bets together, so line by line, all the props that I'm taking, just to show you guys real quick some of that I did on the previous cards. So some props that I had overall on this for UFC fight on ESPN 25. So that's all bets that I took, and if I cash, if I don't cash, I put everything. I have nothing to hide, and for this case I had a small profit of nearly 1 unit, but I had cards in the previous months where the profit was quite nice, like UFC Fight Night 188. So line by line with all props, and for $50, the ultimate package, as you guys see here, line by line and everything I'm doing was combined with different cards, and like I told you guys, ultimately this is a winning strategy. This was a great card for me, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's not always this big profits of 10-20 units. These profits come, that also come, small profits come, small losses. It's difficult that I lose big. So like I told you guys, it's a winning strategy, and if you wish to support the channel, keep it running, and make it easier a little bit for you just by following my strategy. In case you trust me from previous analysis, feel free to start supporting me on Patreon. Alright, so again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time. This time from Zroder Bet, bring the best, most consistent and transparent betting strategy for you.